always appreciated the way that the Diamond approach understands and utilizes the body as part of our practice, as a core part of our practice, both the sensing, looking, and listening, which is really the foundational first practice, the cause meditation that helps us really land in our body, and the life practice, which emphasizes the possibility of integrating whatever teaching we've been part of, whatever we're exploring, whatever quality of presence might be there in our functioning, in our normal everyday movements in life. So those and the diasomatics, the breath work, which helps the body to open up to presence, all of these have, for me, been ways that the body has always been included in the work. And then in terms of my specific fascination with the body and spiritual teaching is I've appreciated the orientation of the work toward all of our experience, including our body, as being one of open-ended curiosity, interest, acceptance, kind of an appreciative, loving regard, and way of listening to ourself, to our soul, and to our flesh, to our physicality. So I've appreciated the way that we approach the body, not as an object or not as a stepping stone or something like that, but actually as a valuable and precious part of the expression of our soul. So again, in terms of my particular fascination, over the years, being in groups, teaching individual students, teaching groups, being a student in the school, because of my bodywork background, where I was able to look at bodies, notice what's happening with their alignment, with their structure, with their form, with their movement patterns and postures, I began to notice that when different people were working on a specific issue or when a certain state would arise, that there was a certain way that that impacted their body. And at a certain point, I began to notice that in addition to the sort of individual and personal kinds of impacts that presence and issues and structures were having on the body, that I began to notice that there were certain themes, certain kinds of ways that particular qualities seemed to impact people in a similar way consistently. So like, for instance, there would be a certain, that as the red essence would arise in someone's consciousness, in someone's soul, that their body would begin to sort of expand in a certain way. Their movements would become more expansive, larger. There was a sense of sort of an energetic fullness that infused their flesh as well as their soul. Other, occasions like being at a retreat on the Absolute and watching as the retreat progressed over time and more people were more infused and deepening into the experience of this absolute reality. I began to notice, looking across the room, that overall people's bodies were tending to get a little longer, a little bit more aligned. So I became curious about the relationship between the absolute and the sense of being aligned in the body. So at any rate, over time and many different observations and explorations, I started to be aware of and contemplate how presence itself enters and transforms the body in a way that our conscious, aware, normal, ordinary, physical, everyday movements can become direct expressions of presence in whatever dimension and quality that it's arising in. And over time, I began to appreciate how the teaching of the Diamond approach, because we work on issues and structures, because we work on identity, because we're a path of transformation as well as transcendence. What that means is that in the process of our inquiry, in the process of our maturation, in the process of our growth and development, our physical bodies have the possibility to also transform, so that our bodies are not consigned to continuing to be the expression of old identities of our history. So that's, I think, a very precious and unique possibility that exists in this teaching that doesn't necessarily exist in spiritual teachings where the focus is more on transcendence. So that's part of the uniqueness, I think, of the meaning and nature and potential of physical life that's offered in this particular way of working.